Hello again, YouTube. This is Santotaku with Team by the Trigger, and today I'm bringing you another match with commentary from this past weekend. We shot a whole bunch of matches after our weekly tournament, but discovered afterwards that there was a bit of glare on the right-hand side of the table, making some of the cards unseeable, making most of the videos unusable. But despite the glare in this video, I felt it was a pretty fun match to watch. I wanted to share it with you anyway, so I hope you enjoy. So the match starts. We have Bronie on the right with his Angel Feather deck, and I'm on the left with my Oracle Think Tank deck. He's using the Cosmo Healer combo, which every time you ride to the next chain, you get to replace cards in your damage zone with cards in your hand. So it's a really good way to set up your offensive and defensive, really, because any cards that you need, you'll be able to get. You'll be able to treat your damage zone as a resource. His Heavenly Injector comes into play, allowing him to pull Fate Healer out of the deck, so he is set through Grade 2. And I know for a fact he runs 4 Cosmo Healers, so he's probably set through Game 3. So on my turn, I ride into Luckbird, which is not the greatest ride, obviously. But I attack for 11k. He decides to let it through. He gets a crit trigger on the damage, which will become rather irrelevant because that's my only attack for the turn. So he draws, he rides into his Fate Healer. He goes ahead and he swaps the 10k shield out of his damage zone with a second copy of Fate Healer. And he starts a really great Grade 2 offensive. He puts down his Memory Core and a 1000 Ray Pegasus, all staring down my little Luckbird at 5k power as a Vanguard. So that's not good. The first attack goes through because he's not going to be able to draw off of it, and I'm looking for a trigger to try and stop the Pegasus from going through, but I didn't get it. I then take another attack. There's my Gemini gone, and finally his attack from his Vanguard, which I block with my crit trigger because I don't want to go down 3-1 this early. So he drives, and it's not a trigger, so his turn ends. I go ahead and draw, and I ride into Maiden of Libra. Weird thing about this card, I've heard a lot of people say they don't really like it. I'm pretty much a fan. I think it's really great to be able to draw extra cards and +1 yourself after an attack. It's probably my favorite ride at Grade 2. I think I'd rather have Oracle Guardian Wiseman in a rearguard column. I'd rather have Silent Tom in a rearguard column. I'd rather have Battle Sister Mocha in a rearguard column. All of those cards are better rearguards. Maiden of Libra makes a really good Vanguard. And once it's gone, it's gone. Obviously, after Grade 2, Apollon is better, but it's a good interceptor. It's 9k power. It's a decent strength, and Oracle Think Tank don't have a lot of those right now. So his turn comes along. He rides in the Cosmo Healer, and he opts not to swap 2 more cards. He puts down his heal trigger, which acts just like Lozenge Magus, and a 1000 Ray Pegasus, which gets stronger when he takes damage. His Million Ray Pegasus attacks for 9 on 9, and I decide to just take the damage, looking for a trigger, and I get one. There's my Psychic Bird, so the rest of my guarding will be easier. He attacks now for a 16 on 14. I still don't want to commit too much to the field. I have my Silent Tom in hand. If you saw a quick glare glanced over there, but I decide to block, and that's 24 on a 16. So let's see what happens. He gets his personal booster for his Vanguard and another Fate Healer, so the attack gets blocked. And his last attack with his Memory Core, which is the Maiden of Libra clone, it's for 15 on 14. I decided not to block because I would decide to hold my Silent Tom for a little bit. But I guess that's not going to matter here. He gets a free card out of it, and his heal trigger goes back into the deck. So I continue while he goes ahead and shuffles. I ride the CEO that I drove earlier, which I'm really grateful for. I soul charge a Maiden of Libra. I check the top card of my deck, and I keep it there. I drop my 2 Apollons and a Petal Fairy, and I have 2 cards in hand, which is exactly what I need, because now Libra is going to be attacking for 20. Not that it's going to matter so much in this situation, but it's just a good a good habit to try and keep 2 cards in your hand before twin driving. Because 16 and 20 would have been the same there, but I decided to. I didn't want to lose too many cards. So my first heal trigger of the game goes off. Apollon attacks his rear guard. He is unsure on whether or not he wants to guard it. At first he wanted to. He double checks his hand, and he must be in a pretty good situation because he doesn't mind me getting the +1, and he also didn't guard a 9K attacker. So we're going to see what happens with that next turn. And then he furthermore doesn't block his core memory, which is another great attacker, just like Maiden of Libra. So he draws for his turn, and he gets another offensive here because there's a Fate Healer at 9K, and his 10K attacker. There's a Heavenly Injector and another heal trigger. So he has a pretty beefy field. Top to bottom is 16. A potential 21 in the middle now that he replaces his 1000 Ray Pegasus, and there's another 16. So I have a 10k shield in all of these at the very least. I take the first one mostly to make sure that his personal booster on his Vanguard doesn't put it up to 21. I don't want to have to make a 15k guard. So I have to drop 15k anyway, of course. So I didn't want to have to put a 20k guard down, is what I should have said. So the attack doesn't go through. He gets a stand trigger, and there is a 15k on my Vanguard, and I'm at 4 damage already, but I'm going to have to block 2 attacks, and I only have 3 cards in hand. I decide to take the damage on this one. I get a heal trigger, and a 5k power boost on my Vanguard. And his Fate Healer attacks finally, and I just drop a draw trigger. So I have 2 cards in my hand just like I wanted. I got the heal trigger, and I stayed alive with just 4 damage instead of 5, which is great. I go ahead and still charge a stand trigger, peek at the top, put it back. I have 1 card left in my hand to drop to still keep 2 in hand. And it's a Lozenge Magus, which is not the greatest booster. He realized he left his heal trigger in play. He went ahead and shuffled it back into his deck there. So I attack with Apollon, boosted by Lozenge Magus, and he opts not to guard the attack, getting a crit trigger, which he puts on his Vanguard, which is now 16. I go ahead and draw, which was a misplay. I am not that clever to keep a card on top and then draw it off Apollon. There was actually a crit trigger on there. The 10k shield does come in handy, but I would have rather had the attack. But because I think he guards this one, but I could have put it on the remaining Apollon. So I twin drive. There's a Gemini, and there's a Battle Sister Chocolat. And my Apollon, my final Apollon, will attack his rear guard, which, as he has all game, will go unblocked because he will simply replace it next turn. So he stands up and he draws for his turn. I go ahead and put my heal trigger back in the deck because I almost forgot as well. And he is kind enough to wait for me here. Alright, back to the action. He goes ahead and he will drop down a new rear guard here. As he looks through his hand, picking the right one, there's another million ray Pegasus, I should say. So that's a 16k column. He checks his face down cards. I think he's probably thinking about dropping a Naciel. That's the great thing about Angel Feather, is that they have so many tools that they can access their deck with the core memory, just like Oracle Think Tank. They can access their damage zone with Naciel and Fate Healer and all that, and their stand trigger as well. There's his attack from his 10k beater. I go ahead and drop Silent Tom to guard because it's an easy 5k shield. He attacks with his Vanguard, and I go ahead and make the obvious choice and so the perfect card's a good play there. I go ahead and drop a crit trigger. He twin drives and he gets nothing from it other than perfect guard, but no triggers or whatnot. His Million Ray Pegasus attacks for 16, and that one I take, putting me up to my 5 damage mark. So I stand and I draw. I soul charge with Amaterasu, as I should. I soul charge my Omniscient Madonna there, which I'm also playtesting, like the Petal Fairy, just one in the deck. I Soul Blast 2 with my Luckbird, because Amaterasu's Mega Blast is not going off. I draw the Coco I just peeked at. Coco peeks on top of the deck as well. And I keep the card there. So my 15k column, Apollon's pretty much just restricted to attacking rear guards at this point because of the 11k Vanguard. I can't hit the 16k number on him. He perfect guards my Vanguard attack. There's my next heal trigger. I heal again. And there's a Coco. Unfortunately, the attack is blocked. And my last Apollon goes for his Vanguard again, which is a 16k column, so it'll force a 10k shield at him at minimum. But he has a damage to take, so he decides to take it. So that he was a perfect guard there, but he drew one earlier, so it evened out. So he goes ahead and draws for turn. And mulls over his hand a bit. There's his Naciel, which he probably thinking about playing last turn. He goes ahead and he drops down a Fate Healer, which he didn't need anymore, and he took a Perfect Guard back to his hand. And his 10k beater goes first. It's an easy block, so I go ahead and just drop a Gemini out of my hand. And there's his Cosmo Healer, which is a beefy 21k column, which is going to be very tough to get over. I go ahead and take it. He gets a stand trigger instead of a crit, which is just great if you ask me. I get a stand trigger as well, putting me up to 15. And his 15 on my 15 just warrants a 5k guard from Coco. And his last attack will also warrant a guard, but I didn't have a 5k, had to overextend a bit there. And I'm left with 2 cards in my hand. I soul charge again. There was a crit trigger there. I get a non-trigger on top of the deck and put it at the bottom, which I think was the first time all game. And my Apollon, the rearguard killer, goes ahead and attacks his biggest column, which happens to be the Love Machine Gun. And I'm looking to draw another card there because I'm really on the ropes here, even though I have more no, actually we're tied at 5, so I'm really at the ropes here. I can't take another damage, and furthermore, I only have 2 cards in my hand. I'm going to end up with 4 on my opponent's next turn. I'd really rather have 5, so I really want Apollon to go through. So I force I get rid of his biggest attacking column right now, and I draw a card. So there goes CEO Amaterasu at 20. He drops his perfect guard down there. There's my first check and a second check. I really wish he would have taken the damage because I would have won right there. But furthermore, Petal Fairy would have allowed me to cycle a card out of my hand, which I really hadn't had to do all game. He drops one of his stand triggers to guard my last attack against his rear guard, which is probably the nail in the coffin. I really needed to get his attacker stick on. There's his circular saw. He attacks with the 10k. I have just enough in hand to block all of his attacks. There goes my Luckbird. His 21k attack. I drop 15k, which would be just enough. He just can't get a trigger. I really need to get... Oh, there's a heal trigger. So he heals damage away. He gets the 5,000 power to get over my shields. He draws another circular saw. And there's my last damage. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, I encourage you to leave a like comment below. If you have any questions or want some insight into your own deck, feel free to message me or leave a link to your deck below, and I'll get back to you and possibly feature your deck or question in a future article or video. You can also look forward to some more gameplay videos in the next few weeks or so, with some guest commentary from Bronie and Captain Showboat. For those of you who enjoyed the video, I encourage you to also check out the blog. The link will be in the description below. The blog is only a week old, but I already have a few strategy articles that are targeted towards newer players, a tournament report from this past weekend, and an Oracle Think Tank deck profile, waiting for set 3 and the trial deck to come out. And there's going to be a lot more to come like that. Thanks again for watching. Once again, this is Santotaku with Team By the Trigger. Until next time.